Welcome to the Med Spa Club. This is your host, Monica Swin. Baby, we got a hot topic for you guys today. We know that we use social media for a lot of things to promote our med spa businesses, our aesthetic businesses, primary practice businesses. Social media is a form of free marketing, and we all love using it. But we can't forget that we are medical professionals, physicians, nurse practitioners, and we have taken an oath to do no harm to the public. So today, our hot topic and subject is don't allow your social media content to land you in jail and or lose your nursing and or professional license. Increasing social media use in the healthcare industry is on a rise. We have to remember that we are professionals, including nurses, physicians, other forms of medical professionals in the industry. And we use social media as a form of marketing our businesses. But one thing we cannot forget is that we are held to a higher standard because we have a license. With saying that, today we're going to discuss some implications of posting unsafe medical procedures on social media and explore practical solutions to protect your nursing and or medical license. Let's get into it. Let's understand the risks when you are putting your content on social media. If you own a med spa, a beauty business, anything that is tied to aesthetics and medical. Let's talk about it. Social media among healthcare professionals and potential consequences of sharing unsafe medical procedures. Yeah, let's just say you have a client, they coming in, they're going to get, I don't know, let's just say they're going to get some Botox, right? It's a few things we have to remember. At the end of the day, you are still a medical professional. Yes, it's a med spa. Yes, it's aesthetically pleasing to the eye. It's beautiful. We're looking to capture the results of our client and our patients. But it's a few things we need to make sure we need to take care of before we put that content on social media. First of all, yes, the client or patient will sign a consent to treat them to get the Botox treatment. But did the client or patient sign a consent and say, I'm consenting to having my face and or picture on your social media platform? The client or patient has to give consent. Just because you do the service doesn't automatically warrant you to be able to take the content and use it on social media or marketing. You have to get the client or patient's permission. Also, that is a part of confidentiality. Yes, they signed a consent form. I'll get the treatment. But you have to make sure that they sign an extra social media and or marketing form. And you have to make sure that you are keeping the client or patient information confidential and private. And you are discussing this Botox treatment on social media, you have to make sure that your client or patient gave you permission to do that. Just because you did it, you do not own the rights to be able to do it just because you did the procedure. More recently in our news and social media streets, we've seen where plastic surgeons are getting a tap on the wrist and or they're losing licensures. Also, nurses in the aesthetic and beauty industry, because they are allowing their clientele to be moved by social media and how they practice. They get outside of operating within their scope of practice. They allow social media to run their practices. You still have to show up in a professional manner as a physician and or professional nurse and you decided that you were going to move from the hospital setting to a med spa and or surgical setting. That does not give you the right to do what you want. You still are held to answer to different boards, professional boards, and you can definitely face disciplinary actions and or lose your licensure. And sometimes you can also you can lose your licensure, and you can face criminal charges as well. That's extreme, but it can happen. So we need to make sure we are operating within our scope of practice. We have to make sure that we are getting consent to be able to put this information in the social media streets. This is important. You can't do what you want with people's information. Also, we talked about, what are the risks? We talked about an example of what could possibly happen in a real life case scenario. Last but not least, let's talk about best practices for social media. It's very important for us to encourage medical professionals, especially nurses, to be cautious and thoughtful when you are using social media. Yes, you have a professional nursing license. Yes, you may not work in a hospital setting anymore, but you still have to answer to the State Board of Nursing. If you have to think twice about posting something, 9 out of 10, you probably should not post it, right? You want to establish clear guidelines when posting content on social media in the med spa industry, such as the medical and or med spa procedures that you are going to post. You have to make sure you have the client consent. You have to make sure that you are avoiding graphic or sensitive material. These things are important. Yes, now we are doing the non-invasive, it's calling it non-surgical, not non-invasive, non-surgical BBL. So we are exposing the derriere, right? We're exposing the derriere, the butt area. You have to make sure that your content is sensitive. That your content is avoiding graphic and or sensitive material, because we are showing the derriere, even though you're doing the procedure, med spa procedure on the derriere. Stay in the area in which you are doing the procedure in, right? And also, when you are doing these medical procedures, you want to make sure on social media, like you're doing the content for social media, you want to make sure that you are doing it for educational purposes rather than quote unquote promoting and or showcasing your practice or your business. Make sure you are giving education to the community that you are hoping to capture, and not trying to get them to book the appointment when you are showcasing such procedures. These are the few things that I thought that was important to bring to our community to make sure if you think about med spa, if you think about, is it okay if I post this on social media? If you have to think a few times about it in a med spa space, 9 out of 10 is probably something you should not post. And also, I am not giving you any legal advice. If you are unsure, make sure you speak to your attorney to get legal advice, to make sure that you have all the proper forms to be able to post this content on your social media platform. Just because it is a free platform to host your content, from a medical standpoint and a professional standpoint, you have to make sure that you have all the correct documents and or forms on board to stay out of court, to stay out of jail, and to stay clear from the State Board of Nursing and or Medical Board. Thank you guys so much for joining us today at the Med Spa Club.